Welcome to Seven Trumpets Prepper, and guys, welcome to a very special edition of the Hard Truth Show. Today, we're going to be discussing the Flat Earth debate that just recently happened between Greg Locke and Pastor Dean Odle. And I want to point out that first off, before we get knee deep in this, is that I'm going to bring on special guests today. Brother Tim Greer, y'all know him. Some of you know him on his handle, Bonafide. Is that I'm going to bring him on and let you just get a full background of what led to this, what this was about, where it's going. And he can touch on that here in just a minute. What I want to point out before we go anywhere with this discussion today is that I told a person that watches my channel and watched the live stream last week, I believe it was, when I discussed Flat Earth, a topic on here about Flat Earth last week. This is what we're going to be discussing today. And this is what I discussed last week. As I said, I would believe in a globe earth if ... And I just broke down how that, the case that's made for the globe does not add up whatsoever. And I've also touched on this, that the so-called aliens or the fallen angels of old, just a few streams back of this as well. So I've covered on Flat Earth quite a bit here lately. But one thing that I said to that person, because they were defending Greg Locke, is I said that what will happen of this is that is going to be a massive pouring out of knowledge to people to see the truth from the. They're going to see things from both angles. They're going to see it from a globe perspective. They're going to see it from the flat earth. And people, when they actually have a heart to look in the scripture, they're going to go and see what is in the scripture, and they're never going to turn back. And they're going to go to being a flat earther. And there's already been people since that debate already making a hard 180 and becoming a flat earth truther. And here's the thing. The reason that I have pushed this so hard over the years is because it ends atheism. People that used to be atheists, once they come to flat earth truth, the next thing, the doorstop they end up is at the scripture. It ends Darwinism. It ends the Big Bang. It ends evolution. It ends aliens, because aliens, one day when we see that, it's going to be nothing but a demonic deception. And I can just keep going. But there is a massive plethora of reasons why that flat earth should be discussed, and especially in the last days. And furthermore, the last thing I'm going to say on this, and then I'm going to bring Brother Tim on to get this show on the road, is that when you look at situations that took place in that debate the other night, is that you see the spiritual warfare that surrounds these topics. I've always said it and will continue to say it till the day I die. I've been in the truth now for, I think, 15 years. I've been on this ministry, I think, for 12. This makes 12 years I've had this ministry. And I have said that flat earth, the Father's appointed times, and the true Hebrew Israelites, these are conversations that people come completely unhinged over. And what you've seen in that debate the other day, especially at the very end of it, Pastor Dean being thrown out, is the tip, the very, very, very top tip of the iceberg that is about to be tipped over, because these conversations no longer can be kept out of the church houses. These conversations can no longer be kept out of fellowships. It's going to have to be discussed. It is going to come to a head, and you're already seeing that play out. All right. So with that said, I'm going to bring Brother Tim on. Hey, thank you so much, brother, for being with me today.
Oh, I'm just glad to be back.
Yeah, and
you're the one that brought me out of the closet.
Yeah, Brother Tim. What was that? How many
years ago was that?
That's what I was about to ask you. How many years ago was that you seen my flat earth content?
I'm thinking it's been at least 10 years, because well, I knew that we wasn't on the ball, so I say I'm the oldest flat earther in the world because I never got on the globe. But when I was 15, I put in satellite dishes, and they said, point it south. And then they was trying to tell me, well, we spinning. I said, well, it ain't working that way. It ain't working that way. So basically, it wasn't a subject for me to talk about when I was a kid, but and basically it's just went from there, But you are the one. You done some traveling across Kansas, and I remember them videos, and then me and you got to talking about flights and how the earth spins quicker than an airplane can fly. If it's spinning at 1,000, and then you can only travel at 575, you actually can move across the world quicker in a hot air balloon. You go up, it's spinning under you, go right back down.
Yep.
If you can get to Earth to stop spinning, so you can land. Because think about this: if it lands, then that balloon's gonna flip over.
Right, exactly. Yeah,
but
facts.
And there's no way possible that you can land a plane out. Well, I'm talking on my phone, but it's got, every time I get on a plane now, I've got a app on my phone that gives you the altitude and if it's setting level. It's like a level, like that one Greg Locke used. You know that level?
Gotcha.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you something about flat Earth. Take a level. You can get one this long. Take it with you on the airplane, and fold the table out. Set it down. Turn it this way. Turn it this way. It's level, folks. Period. Yep. Anyway, that's kind of like where it's simple stuff to me. It's very, very simple. I try to keep it simple, stupid. So, but it started when I was 15 years old, or I didn't even have a driver's license then, so I might have been a little younger. There was a man down the street that needed a grunt, my neighbor, that was putting in them big old satellite dishes as big as a kiddie pool. And they used to have an arm. They used to have an arm that would move back and forth. So if you got one of them right, the rest of them would line up. So you only had to get one right. But you know what I realized back then? That's been 40 years ago. So I've learned since then that there wasn't no satellites back then, that there's cable. Now listen to this. There's cable run under the seas that's been there since 1850s. Think about this now. How did we ever call on a telephone? Think about the invention of the telephone and us being able to call overseas. Well, how did that happen?
Yeah, well, I forget how much cable that one guy, the guy that had the company with the boat, I think they eventually had two boats, and they were meeting in the middle to clamp that off for the first telegraph thing across. And yeah, that was way back when. Way back.
So I'm not so sure that that water is not what they're actually, the ocean itself being the antenna. I mean, there's a lot of stuff with water that's been hidden also. But anyway, we'll talk about whatever you want to. If you want to talk about the debate, you can put up my Facebook post. What actually stopped the globe from spinning? This post.
Yeah, right before I put Brother Tim's post up, and brother, forgive me if I'm interrupting you. We had some serious audio issues, guys, before we got started. We spent almost 10 minutes. Satan is not wanting this conversation to take place today. I've had the worst audio issues we ever had happen before we got this show on the road today. But what everybody needs to know is, before you seen Pastor Greg and Pastor Dean's debate the other night, this man is the one responsible for this whole thing going into motion. I mean, the Most High controls all things.
That's right.
But there's that little pebble that starts down the hill and then hits the next rock. And Tim was actually the man that started this into motion. And I'm going to let him break that down for you, because you need to, what me personally, I want everybody to take away from this is, if you haven't seen the debate, I think I've got 4 or 5 links in the video description now that hasn't been pulled off YouTube. I had trouble finding some of the other debate links. And of course, you won't find it at Greg Locke's channel.
So, I don't know why he would take it down.
Oh, me neither. Wait, hold on. I got you right here.
Yep.
There you go. So, I mean, here's the thing. Now, I'm not doing this today to throw shade on people. I want people to understand this is a teachable moment, because what you've seen take place this past week, it's only the beginning of many, many more things that's going to happen like this, because truth is going to come out.
I'm going to give you a few today, but this right here on October the 22nd, that's a Sunday. I was sitting at my table with my wife and our friend, and we was discussing other things. And actually, believe it or not, Dean posted, "I'm going to hurt a lot of people's feelings today." All right. So I thought, because me and no pastor sees the same about Israel, as I see a lot of propaganda. I see they want a canal put over there. It's all about the money. So anyway, I thought I kind of thought it was Dean. was going to call me out. So I posted it. I stopped the conversation and I posted this. And then when I posted it, you know, I didn't know who it was going to be or what it was all about, but I figured, well, if I do it, I do it. But the Lord stopped me. You can ask my wife. I stopped everybody from talking. And I said, y'all wait a minute. The Lord has told me to post this. So I posted it. You can put it back up there.
Okay.
When your pastor start talking about your Facebook post from the pulpit, you're on the right track, good or bad. All right. So an hour, I guess it was maybe an hour and a half later, there's a lady named Megan that she said, I think that you've been called out. So I went back and I didn't mention no name or nothing. I hadn't seen the video, you know, and I said, I guess he didn't get the I guess he didn't get the memo. I didn't say who didn't get the memo. I just said he didn't get the memo. The next post under that, now church is over with now. The next post under that was Greg. Greg Locke said on my post, get your money ready. Well, by the time that took place, Dean has already seen it. So Dean gets on there, and we got all these people going back and forth. So Dean gets on there, and I mean, Dean will lay it on you, son. He's been studying this for a long, I mean, he's got all these NASA documents, and he's done all this stuff, you know. But anyway, Dean wrote a book, and I mean, when I tell you he was whooping Greg Locke, he was whooping him. And Greg came back and said, I have deleted my post because of the division. And I don't want the division, blah, blah, blah. So then, privately, me and Dean challenged Greg Locke. Not challenged, we just said we want to have a conversation with you. Because when I tell you there was a lot, and I mean a lot of people in that church that I knew personally, that's on that ain't on the you know, merry-go-round.
Right. I'll follow with you.
All right, so we figured that Greg knew, but he didn't want that target on his back. Because I know a lot of pastors that know this truth, but they figure, well, I don't want to bring it out, whatever the case may be. And I get that, you know, it's a subject they don't want to talk about. You know, they got things they don't want to talk about, like where did Adam and Eve's grandkids, daughter-in-laws come from? You know what? Pastors just don't want to talk about that.
Right.
But anyway, so it went to a private conversation, and I have had words of prophecy before. So I prophesied it, and the Lord told me, he said, tell him that his platform is going to be used to promote Flat Earth. And he said, it's a long thing. I'm going to shorten it down. But basically, he said, when hell freezes over. All right. And we went through a few more things. And him and Dean I hadn't seen Dean's text messages, but to make a long story short, we didn't. So then we got to Wednesday. And Greg gets back on the pulpit, and he said, I have opened up a barrel. Not a can of worms. I've opened up a barrel. So he calls. Now let me go back and remind you. On Sunday, the 22nd, he did not call our names. All right. And you know as well as I do, it's been at least 2 years since I put up the 10 grand. Matter of fact, I put it up on your show a long time ago, I think.
Yeah, it's been a minute, but we can probably go back and fetch that. See, that's the thing. There's so much content produced anymore. It's so hard to find stuff. But yeah, no, it's been a minute though. Tim has had that out there for a long minute.
The first time I done it, Dave Weiss was on with me on Frog News. And this is before Dave put up his Bitcoin stuff. All right. So anyway, to me, that was old news. I mean, if you put up 10 grand and nobody challenges you, but you think about this, Lucas, how many people has researched Flat Earth over that 10 grand and just shut up and then became a flat earther.
Sure, sure. Oh,
It wasn't a bet, because if you can prove to me that we're spinning at 1,000 miles an hour, I'll put up 100 grand. Period.
Well, and you know, another thing too, and forgive me for interjecting. I just something I thought about on this too. And now, not that this validates anybody or anything. But there's a lot of YouTube channels. There are millions of viewers or etc. Right? But
Yep.
you know, there is a lot of scriptural, biblical, hardcore, factual channels that are over 100K, myself included.
Yeah.
That I see a lot of these mega pastors that, I mean, like Greg's channel, he's only got like 10,000 subscribers.
Yeah.
You don't never see them coming over and challenging one of us to a debate.
No.
And I'm like, I would gladly accept it. And I don't even care if you say that I lost. And see, I don't know what the final tipping domino was, but to see Dean go and do that, and I'm so thrilled that he got to do it. But just to see somebody stand and be given that platform, and then the result of that, I knew that would be the result of that, no matter who stood there.
That's right.
You could have stood there, and it would have been the end result, because it's a spiritual warfare thing that we're watching take place.
So let me tell you this. We was doing an event, a deliverance event in Myrtle Beach. And I had a lot to do with it. And what we wanted to do is we wanted Greg to come around and basically him let the news out. He did, but he didn't want to, if that makes sense. So he's had Dean's books for a while. He said he read them, blah, blah, blah. And I had prayed, and you can ask Dean this, I had prayed that Dean would be on Greg Locke's platform. All right. This was back in May. So what I done is I put Dean in front of Greg, so the people would get there and they could hear Dean's message. Now, he was talking about deliverance, but Dean had all his books there, so they knew where he stood. He stood on solid ground, not spinning.
Right.
So anyway, we had an intermission between the two, and then Greg came up there, but I had no idea the Lord was going to do this. When he answers a prayer, by God, he answers a prayer. All right. So the Wednesday night, let's get to the Wednesday night. He gets back up on stage and he says it's going to be a friendly debate. And I'm going to put a stop to these 600 people. And he called Dean out by name, and he called me out by name, because of the deal with the 10 grand. And Dean has the ring that, that's on the front of his book. I ain't got the book.
The seal. Yeah.
Yep. So then Dean texted him and said, I'll accept the challenge. And before Greg got off stage, Greg said, look, this is a friendly thing. It's all friendly. Well, between the Sunday to the Wednesday, Greg said, I got over 600 emails of people telling him this stuff. So then he knew he done stepped in a pile of poop. Yeah. And he couldn't shake it off his shoes.
Yeah, there's no reverse this point. You're going to have to hit head on.
Yep. Yeah. And he wishes he could turn back time. I promise you.
Oh, hey, let me tell you, I'd bet the whole farm on that today, boss man. Yep. No doubt about it.
Yep. So anyway, from there he started getting angry. They was even kind of harsh to us setting up video. And I brought my own Starlink in because I wanted to make sure that we had it,
Right.
But there was a lot of people there, and I told people in the media meeting that I had on the Friday night before, I need everybody, I don't care if you got to go buy a little tripod, everybody needs to be recording this because I had a feeling something was going to take place. Well, something did take place. He took it down.
Yeah.
So we got copies of it. We had a professional crew come in and film the whole deal.
Hey, if you care if I get a copy of that, I'd love to share that on the channel as long as that's good with you guys.
No problem. But we had we had a good deal with the media group, and this is something else I want to tell you how serious this is. Is Greg's cameraman? I know who he is. I've traveled with Greg for years. You know, me and him's good friends, and or was. I don't know how he feels now. He got me blocked on Facebook, but anyway, and he blocked me this morning. So don't let me forget to tell you about that. But Greg's cameraman that has actually rode with me so we could get B-roll of the bus going down the street. So I know it. His name's Julian. I know exactly who he is. He sends Julian in to get video of my meet and greet deal, the Flat Earth deal. And I had the microphone in my hand when he rolled in. I said, "What are you doing here? Undercover work?" He just smiled and laughed. And I don't know if he was doing video or taking pictures. And then Greg gets on. I took pictures of it. Y'all go look at my Facebook page, Tim Greer, and you'll see it was standing room only in the meet and greet. It was for media people. All right. So everything went good there. We had dinner and everything, and then the next day everything was just like I said. He knew that he knew that he was fixing to go to the slaughterhouse. And what he said on that Wednesday night is the congregation would decide the results. You got me?
Well, the next morning, it looked like the crowd was a little thin.
Yeah. Well, now I'm talking about what I'm saying is the congregation would. He said it on the Wednesday night that he announced the debate. He said then that it's going to be a nice debate. He also said then he was putting up 30 grand and that the congregation would decide the deal.
Gotcha.
You understand?
I follow with you.
So he didn't step in the poop on Sunday hard enough. He had to put another foot in. You got me? Put up the 30 grand because he was going to prove us wrong. All right. So it took us, that was October 22nd, so me and Dean started preparing. I was just going to get up here and give my testimony, the redneck version of, actually what I went to do, believe it or not, I got it still over there in that box. It never got out of the box. I went and bought a globe. And I was going to lay 10 grand on the pulpit and give him a BB gun and say, if you can hit Houston, Texas with that BB gun, I'm going to give you 10 grand every time you do it. But I never get my part on the stage. I don't know why, but that's how simple it is, folks. That's how simple it is. How are you going to land the airplane? How are you going to land the airplane on a spinning ball? And I tell you something else that's funny. I told my daughter about this debate, and she said, and she's one of these things that brought up back probably 10 years ago when me and you was talking about it. She said, "You telling me that Greg's still on the ball?" But my daughter brought this up about the picture of the Earth from NASA. The fake picture.
Oh, yeah, the one the Earth got photoshopped in on the picture.
Think about this now. I don't care what kind of camera you got, because I done the test. If you spin a globe, I don't care. I can't spin it at 1,000 miles an hour. How are you going to get a picture? There's no way possible to get a picture of a spinning globe. You understand?
Yeah.
You can't. Let's just say it's a basketball, and you try to take a picture of the word Spalding on it. I don't care if you got a video camera, you're not going to get a clear picture.
When I showed that last week too, that if you look at that picture where the people now, I'm an electrician and now I'm an electronics designer, so I don't dabble in Photoshop and things like that. But the people that do have the skill set have shown that where that you can tell back working an image where that things have been put in and fuzzed in. And I've looked at that in great depth. And somebody, oh, right here, somebody said one of my brothers is a pilot. He said if we were spinning, he could hover in a helicopter in New York for 3 hours and Los Angeles would come to him. Yeah, exactly.
That's
and
right.
I mean, really, here's the thing. Here's the thing, though, that, you know, guys, that I just think is so important from the dialogue that I'm having with Brother Tim today. And plus, if you haven't seen the debate, you need to watch it. If you have seen the debate, you know where I'm going with this, is that this is just the beginning of conversations that's going to start being had. Because here's what happened is, before, even with the situation with Tim here, people in his own congregation were coming to the knowledge of this truth. It was causing a rift and a split in the house.
That's what
it's going to start causing a rift and a split in a ton of different places on a ton of different topics. Because the thing is people are seeing, okay, we got the bathtub plug pulled in the river Euphrates. We've got everything starting to line up for 2nd Ezra chapter 16. You've got prophetic things taking place in this generation like you've never. We're watching things that was prophesied over 2 millennia ago taking place in this day. And people are starting to research, and they're starting to really be like, hey, we got to see if this is legit. You know, these things have been, people keep having these conversations, but I'm on the fence, and we're no longer allowed to be on the fence. You know, I mean, and that's what is leading to all this. And I just don't think people see it at the depth that, especially, like, I'm so glad I done that live stream last week. And somebody from Greg Locke's support said that, because I am not trying to throw shade on people. My point in case is, no matter, insert whatever said names, insert whatever said church, this is going to start coming to a boiling point. There's a lot of pots heating up right now on the stove. And this one's pressure valve finally blew off last night when the microphone got tossed back over and somebody was told to get up out of the house. I mean, like, you can see where this is all leading. And I told that guy last week, and you know what's funny? I don't see him in the stream today. I haven't seen a comment back or an email from that person either. And it's just, that's what I'm saying. I've told these people exactly what would happen, pretty much verbatim, before it happened. We'll see this copy again and again and again.
Yep. Well, it does. Let me tell y'all something about this deal with division, folks. Only thing you got to do is just stand on truth. Stand on truth and show your fruit. All right. So what I mean by that is, if you got a friend that's an atheist that you're at work with, don't push it on him. Don't tell him he's wrong.
No.
Don't do it. Only thing he's going to do is he's going to say, man, I look how blessed this person is. When they need something, you give it. I don't care if they're Muslim. I don't care what they are. This is one thing I learned through the deal with deliverance, is you got to go back and find out what got them off track.
Yeah.
And then you pick them up at that mile marker. And you may only travel and get them 2 miles down the road. And then they'll leave you alone for a while, because the cow's got to chew its cud for a little while. You understand? They got to take this in. But when you go bashing people over the head with a Bible or a flat earth or whatever the case may be, you're going to run them off. And I'll give you a for instance. Is Greg Locke has spoke out many, many, many times about Masons. And ain't nothing. So what's the question is what's the chances of a Mason coming in that tent and giving his heart to Christ after you done beat him over the head and told him that he was satanic?
Yeah, he's going to be hard pressed.
Yeah. So it's all about your delivery. It's all about showing love. And you know what? It gets to the point now to where if you get up and you show your love, then people are going to come and ask you questions because they want a part of what you got. Please don't bash nobody. Please don't. You got to remember, at one time, and I can't get this through these flat earth people's heads, at one time, y'all was a globe.
Yep. I laughed at it.
I'm the only one that wasn't on it spinning, because it didn't make sense to me, but you gotta go back and meet that person at that mile marker that they was at and say, hey, this is how I learned. And that goes on any subject. You can teach them how to drive. You can teach them how to paint. you got to go back and pick them up where they left off at.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking about it, Tim, that scripture, where Messiah said he wasn't come to send peace on the earth, but send a sword.
That's
and,
right.
Set a man at variance. And I literally, we're seeing that right now. What I'm starting to see is that there's two groups of people being harvested right now. Is there's people that has been in the belief, they've been in this walk, they're at different places in their walk of faith.
Right.
And there is starting to be a sifting of the sheep and the goats in that. And then there's people like that have literally come to my YouTube, Brother Josh's YouTube, on Flat Earth Brothers, just many other people I've seen where they used to be atheists. And the one sticking point that changed them from atheist to the truth was Flat Earth. And I just keep finding that so resonating because these hard conversations are the topic that is taking place right now. And this is going to define this generation, and it's a conversation too, where that if you see the problem I see with Greg right now, that he's going to start losing people left and right, is that when you start looking at like Amos, I think it's Amos 7, and Father in heaven, please forgive me, I misquoted it right now. Actually, I tell you what, I don't have to misquote it, Tim. I've got it saved right here in my notes. Hold on just a second. Let me see, is it on that one? Yeah, Amos 9:6. Who builds his upper chambers in the heaven and founds his vault upon the earth. Now, the American Standard Version says vaulted dome. Vaulted dome. Like, I've went back through this Hebrew on that particular verse, and I deconstructed it the best I could because, I went to Foreign Language Academy and years ago. And so I looked at it because one thing my teacher taught me was that you've got to look at how that you compartmentalize the words within the context of the nature of what the conversation is. Because, there's so many interchangeable things of how that you could have that Hebrew word be. And so look at that, and I was looking at the word that some things translate to troop. If you look at that in the context of the rest of the words in that particular phrase, it literally is vaulted dome. So you have this vaulted firmament dome above you. Now that's a problem right there, because the scripture, if you say that the scripture doesn't say that, you're going to have a serious problem with the Most High, because you just denied that his written word literally says there is a vaulted dome over top of it. And I go to that because that is one scripture out of others I could show to people, but that's one scripture right there that people say, well, the firmament dome's not in the scripture. All right, I literally just took you to a scripture that says there is a firmament dome over the earth. And when Greg Locke said that the other night, like that really hit my wife in a certain way, because even Abby, how did you arrive at that point? Because whether at the end of the day you read that and you accept that and you say, you know what, I'm a flat earther now, or whether you say, you know what, I don't accept that, I'm a globe. Somebody has to accept, though, that the written word says that. Like, you can read that, I can read that. You make it whatever you want, but it doesn't change the fact that it literally says that. You know what I'm saying?
When Dean said that deal about a tent, and I learned some. Well, let's just say I'm convinced I don't need to see any more proof.
Yeah, jury's out for me too.
Yep. So, but I'm so glad that he broke it down. He met these people at the mile marker, and he hit every subject. And I had a deal put together that I was going to talk about indoctrination, how it started. And if you want to, we'll go to some of the pictures. I mean, you can start with that child in the crib.
Yeah.
And then we can just go there and see what we got.
Okay. Yeah, I'm good today, Tim, till like 3:20. I don't have to jet out, so we got plenty of time.
And we on the same time zone right now.
Yeah, we're still good.
That right there is where it starts, folks.
Yes, sir.
And and what's so bad about it is these people don't know what they're doing wrong. It's just a toy. But I'm gonna tell you, let's go to another one.
Okay.
You just pick it and I'll explain it. Another thing is this right here. Now, I remember I was in high school when this took place, and I ain't laid my eyes on these people, but there's a lot of people that have. So I'm not going to say this is the biblical truth, but they sure do look alike. Of the what was the name of that? The Challenger, is that right?
Yeah, Challenger explosion. Yeah, it happened, I think, in '86.
So take that down for a second.
All right.
Here's where Greg Locke is. He admitted that we never been to the moon. So he admitted that NASA was a liar.
Yep.
But then he said they tell the truth about these things.
Yeah, and see that right there is a red flag, because I think so many people. You know, I don't know if this was did I say this to you the other day, or was this Abby I was saying this to? Because I just had this conversation with somebody the other day. I said my problem with this whole thing that people that are globe earther is that they, and I might have said this on somebody on the live stream too, is that I said that they have a problem with NASA. They say that the NASA moon mission, all of them were fake. Like nobody could even take the time to take some real video of Earth, and they went there 6 different missions. Furthermore, you got the Minions cartoon where that the Minions are walking through the film set of the moon mission, like it's out there even in TV shows. But the people will still believe in a globe Earth. Now, help me, Tim, make that make sense, because that's a paradox to me. That would be like saying, well, I believe I believe the New Testament, but I can't believe the Old. And Father, please forgive me. I'm not trying to blaspheme, but I'm just making a point. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, how do you disconnect one from the other, but still hold that false doctrine? Like
that's where Greg messed up at. Is he tried to well, you believe this, but you don't believe this. You believe this, but you don't believe this. And I you know, if you're filled with the Holy Spirit, it gives you some discernment to what to look into, and a little common sense. I absolutely had no idea that Greg didn't have that much common sense. I mean, he knows the Bible, but I'm going to tell you right now, when it comes to common sense, that boy's missing a few. But, and I can, let me tell you something that's crazy. I was at, I got a guy remodeling a barn dominium out in Arkansas. They've never been on my social media. You don't know anything about what I'm doing. And the main one, I told him, I said, I got to leave and go out of town. I got to go to Nashville. And he said, what you going for? And I said, a flat earth debate. And I walked out I said, you got any questions about it? And I walked out of the barn and I looked up and I pointed at the moon. I said, you see it right there? Yeah. I said, look right over there. There's the sun. I live in the Ozarks. I got houses out there. And we was 1,200, right at 1,300 feet above sea level. I don't know which one it was. Maybe the one in China. I don't know. But he was convinced right then. I said, now NASA is telling us that there is a shadow between them two, and that's the reason that moon's not full. You understand? So he said, man, you ain't gonna believe this. He said, but his worker, I think his name was Troy. He said, Troy just asked me yesterday, was the earth flat? So these are people that I didn't know. I mean, that don't know who I am. Had no idea that I was in charge of the whole deal, you know, putting this deal together or whatever the case may be. And they had no idea, and they're asking questions. So this message that I said, that I told Greg Locke, that your platform will be used to promote flat earth nationwide. It happened, and I didn't want it to go this way, but it did. And when you forfeit and tell the audio guy to turn Dean's microphone off, it was over. I mean, he forfeited. He should have handed him the 30 grand right then, but he didn't. And well, back after that day for the 30 grand, after that day, that Wednesday, the $30,000 was never mentioned again.
Right.
As in, and I brought mine. You can ask people. I was walking around with a bag of money because I wanted to get on that spinning ball, son. I wanted to prove it to me.
Yeah, I tell you, Tim, I don't doubt that a bit. I know you're a man of your word, and one thing, you know, from the practically a decade we've known each other, you know, the one thing that really bothers me at this point in time when we discuss flat Earth is that I had a personal failure in the way I look at things throughout life, and I've tried to adjust to this. I used to try to think things through from my mindset. Like I'd always try to see it from my viewpoint. Now I've tried to step out anytime I look at anything, macro, zoom out, and go think of it either through, if it's a wicked person, try to think it through their eyes, or try to think it through somebody else's thought process. If I was a pastor right now, 3 topics I do not want to debate. I don't want to hear about it. I don't want them people in my church. Now, I'm saying this as if I was, in that position.
That's right.
Is that I wouldn't want to debate flat earth. Now, I'm a flat earther. It's not a problem. But I'm just saying, like, if I wasn't a flat earther, I don't want to debate that because I can't combat that. Furthermore, it's becoming such a secular conversation and religious conversation that there is no winning that in any way, shape, or form. Like, you're only going to come away wounded at best.
Yeah.
Other thing is discussing the Father's appointed times and the Hebrew Israelite people. Like, these are 3 conversations I don't want to have a conversation over, because what it's going to happen is there's people that are, I would say, sleeper cells in church. And like them people that were kind of sleepers in his church, they are no longer operating in the spirit of ignorance. Like, they are fully immersed in both doctrines. And they're going to choose which path to walk now, and it's game over.
Right. There's going to be, if I would have got to be on stage, that's what I was going to say. I want everybody here listening to me to go ask your pastor tomorrow about flat earth.
Yeah.
If you're convinced or not convinced, y'all work through it together. But if he won't work through it, he's been compromised.
This, I didn't get this screen up earlier, and I wish I did, but I've said this a lot, especially here in recent times, and I always resort back to it to people anymore, is that I say empirical evidence. Now, a lot of people may not know what the definition of that is, but that is the information obtained through observation and documentation of certain behavior and patterns, or through an experiment. Now, the reason I say that is like Pastor Dean showed with the NASA thing, right? And the documents. And then you have where that, like I pointed out before too, about where that there was one specific craft, and they said it was tested over a flat plane. There is multiple things out there that's government document, just like an engineering manual says not to account for curvature drop. And I used to do tons of construction. There's so many things that literally the people that's saying believe this is also giving you the empirical evidence that says contrary to what they're literally asking you to believe. And the biggest one I can give you is, y'all rest his soul, Brother Rod Skiba, what he done with that Chicago experiment. I think it's one of the most profound, tangible examples that there is to this day. And, people I don't think they give him enough credit for that. But, I mean, it was an absolute nail in the coffin for him to let that debate take place. And I tell you what, if I was a pastor anywhere across America today, I would be in absolute terror of my congregation asking me about this, because it will not stop from here. Like that bus,
it's not going to stop. And I'm going to tell you Dean got kicked out. Let's just call it kicked out, not invited back to any of these flat earth deals, because he explained, he actually preached at a flat earth conference that flat earth ain't going to get you to heaven. It's Jesus. And I'm not knocking these people. I will gladly go meet them at their mile marker. But, this deal with being drunk and all this stuff, you can be flat earth and still bust hell wide open.
Yeah.
But,
sure.
But that is, so Dean sat back and studied all these years, and then was pushed to the biggest flat earth event in history, period. And then and then Greg blowing up made it even worse. You know, he knew when that tent was full, and everybody in there wearing flat earth shirts, he knew that it was over with. Before the debate started, that's what I told him. I said, man, you loaded the bases for us.
Yeah.
Because the people that are on a globe could care less about us being stupid, about us being on flat earth. I mean, there was people there from overseas. There was a guy text me, Lucas, that drove from Vegas.
Man.
It was crazy, man. And it was just absolutely crazy that and Greg, just like I said, Greg didn't know what he was doing. I mean, the debate, him picking up that piece of paper and reading it off from some other guy and debating the paper. That's like me blaming Greg Locke for what Joel Osteen done.
Yeah.
It's
just it's wild that the debate for Flat Earth was held in a tent.
Yeah.
And he can't figure out that the dome, the firmament dome above is spread over us like a tent. I just find the irony
with the globe is I was going to bring the globe there and say, show me the firmament. Think about it. Where's it at? Just like I was telling you years ago about the deal with the airplanes, where does the sky stop and space start? And why is space always dark if sun's there?
Yeah. Oh, I know. A guy said this, Tim, on TikTok. I think the dude is a legend. He said, I'm not a globie. I'm not a flat earther. He said, I just want to ask one question. Can I please? He said, can somebody on the ISS just take and turn the camera around and show me the sun? Is that asking too much for a brother to just do that for you?
That's right.
I was like right here. I was like, shout out to you. That guy right there is a legend. Because I'm like, it could our tax, if it pleases the crown, could our tax dollars please just adjust the camera? Jeez. Oh man. Hey, here's the one that gets me. Okay. Now, the vacuum of space. If somebody said to me, argue any point against the globe, I tell you, I think where I would start off of is I would go for the jugular. Is I would say, okay, let's talk about the vacuum in space. Anything in a vacuum cannot live, right? And if you look at them old boys, what was it, Ocean Gate, that done the submersible thing, the vacuum pressure, went in on them. How'd that work out for them? Not too good.
Yep.
And I'm just like, so let me get this straight. Everybody thinks that doesn't go on in space, yet that's exactly what science says will happen in space. But just because they're wearing puffy marshmallow suits like Ghostbusters, the marshmallow guy, and they get back in their little ISS station and the guy pulls the door down and they got that TikTok of the flappy door. Have you seen the flappy door?
Yeah.
The whole thing's metallized. Then they just got this little like canvas flappy door and he can't pull it down. I'm like, and we're supposed to believe this. I'm like, Hollywood's does better CGI than NASA. I mean,
well, it's the same thing. Did I send you? I don't know if I sent you the pictures of the Golden Globe Award and the MTV Award. Did I send that to you?
No.
Well, anyway, I had that in my little presentation. They're giving out awards. That's the Golden Globe Award. The MTV's the Man on the Moon. Just so happens to be in a Mason Temple. The MTV. Yep. So I'm going to debunk everything to do with outer space if they are telling us the truth right now, and I guarantee you've never heard it. I can debunk it. You know why? I'm a redneck. You ready for this?
Our way, boss man.
You got an old tractor, you got a lawnmower, a rocket, a Chevrolet truck, and you put gas in it. What else does it have to run?
Oh, yeah, I know where you're going with this. Yeah, it's got to have a spark. It's got to have flame. And there's no oxygen in a vacuum. Yep. There's no oxygen in a vacuum.
If you go and you take this, debunks everything that they said, and the Lord put this on me, said, boy, think. You're a redneck. Take a candle, put your hand on top of it. A glass candle, whatever. Put your hand on top of it. It's going out. A carburetor. Try it. Try it with your lawnmower. Try it, period. Then I had a guy tell me, well, they hauled oxygen up there. Really?
Okay.
You can't
now
pump enough oxygen.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I was just saying, you do know, like with HVAC, that if you get like certain oxygen, if you get oxygen in the line, like with vacuum on some HVAC stuff, you can have actually an explosion.
Yep.
Like like a fire and all sorts of stuff. Like that stuff don't mingle either.
Yeah. Let me tell you something. I don't want to be bragging, but I am smarter than your average redneck. I can make any of that stuff run off water.
Oh, yeah. HHO, some cool stuff.
But I'm not going to get a patent, so don't come shoot me, okay?
Yeah, poor boy in Ohio.
All them stuff in my friends. Do what now?
Poor guy in Ohio. Y'all rest his soul. They poisoned him.
It ain't hard to do, folks. It really is not that hard to do. I mean, you can work up some miracles with a mason jar.
Yep.
But anyway, that's why I got to playing with it, and this was years ago. And then I seen that deal. Let me ask you another question. How did the moon buggy get to the moon?
Right. Oh, well, how did the lander get there? I mean, that thing is just, like gold aluminum full taped together. I mean, like, there's just so many things that doesn't, like, if you take the volume of the space those things took up, and then you take the rocket and everything else, the math don't math.
That's right.
And then Tim, I think the best part is that we lost the technology to go to the moon. Like, that one's the funniest one I've heard yet.
They found it in India last week.
Yeah. What was it? India that put the last lunar? Yeah.
Hey,
and let me tell you,
put the picture of me up there with the Georgia Guidestones.
Okay. Hey, if we run out of time, because I know I got to dip in about 20.
Okay.
If we run out, if you want to in another week or two, we can.
We'll do it again.
Do another one. Let me see. You said Georgia Guidestones. Hey, did you see that where I said that about the Georgia Guidestones? What was it, 2 years ago or whatever? I said I was going to go down there and pray over that place for its destruction, and then like 3 weeks later, somebody blew it up.
Yep.
Did you see that?
It wasn't somebody. It wasn't somebody. It was self-imploded. Let's just call it.
I got you.
Now, I want you to think about this. Now, that right there, if you could have went down there, you would have been proving a flat Earth right there. Period.
Oh yeah, the
but
viewpoint.
So happens, I could have went in that tent and said, "Everybody, let's go to Georgia, and we're gonna show you." You can take it down.
Okay, 1 second, brother. Got you there.
Anyway, that is they sat there and proved it, but this so happens before this news comes out. You got to understand, we're dealing with principalities. I could have got up on stage and said, "Look, folks, the proof." But I believe when I first got baptized in the Holy Spirit, I had an infatuation with studying ex-Satanists, people that have come out and what they've done. And I believe they got to tell us the truth. Hollywood has got to tell us the truth before they do it to us. That makes sense, because
absolutely,
every lie will be revealed.
Yeah.
And they told us on the Georgia Guidestones. I mean, Hollywood, look at The Simpsons. Look at all this stuff. I seen a Flintstones episode the other day that talking about flat Earth. I used to watch Flintstones all the time. It was Christopher Columbus. But I also done some research too, and then we'll get off here, about the globe that the globe that we have right now is actually 1492. That's when they said this took place. So they're telling me in the same year that Christopher Columbus discovered this land, they came out with a globe. All right. Who discovered Hawaii, and how was Hawaii on all these globes? And all these other lands too, but you understand what I'm saying.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
I just don't believe that they had a tape measure big enough to get this thing so accurate. But if you go right now, and this was part of my deal, if you go right now and you look up the Rockefeller Foundation, 1913, I believe it is, their logo is a globe. All right. So I'm going to reveal a few things to you. I don't really have it on the slideshow, but y'all got Googles or DuckDuckGos or whatever. Go look at the World's Fair. The World's Fair, I'm going to tell you, something happened in the 1850s that technology just took off. All right. And the World's Fair was the media of the day. So what they would do is they would go set up a World's Fair, and everybody would come to one location, and then they would go to another place. All right. So everything that you can think, and their logo was the globe. Their logo was the globe. So they're pushing the globe. All right. So, and also that was everything that I'm fixing to tell you was invented within 10 or 15 years of each other. the steam engine, the combustion engine, the telephone, the light bulb, the Harley, the airplane, the motorcycle. I mean, the automobile. Now, you tell me, your history is trying to tell us that basically everybody was caveman. I don't want to say the word retarded, but they're saying that society was stupid and everything got here in between a 10 or 15 year period. And just so happens they was pushing the globe at the same time. So the World's Fair pushed the globe and they pushed technology. All right. And you know the Bible way more than I do. So I'm going to ask you if you recognize this. And Dean hadn't had a chance to show me where, but there was demons that was bound for 70 generations. Do you know where that is?
Sir, I believe that's in the book of Enoch.
It may be. So we ain't allowed to go there. That's another thing that happened at the debate is Greg tried to, Dean said, I didn't bring up Dean did not bring up the book of Enoch whatsoever. And he was trying to bash him on the Enoch.
But, you don't even, I mean, respectfully to anybody, even in the debate, you don't even need the book of Enoch to get there.
That's right. But I will tell you one thing. If the book of Enoch would have been left in there, they would have never got away with this lie so long.
Now that's facts. Boy, that's a Carfax on a lot of that. Mm-hmm.
Yep. But anyway, I didn't know what happened. You got this Tortaria stuff, and I'm gonna tell you, there's a lot.
Yeah, I've looked in that. I struggle with that, Tim. I think there's always that underlying story there, and I've seen the blanket story. But I agree with you on this. There's some weird disconnect here where a lot of stuff just pops on the scene like that. Because the St. Louis World's Fair, bro, that place was off the rails for its day. I mean, wireless electricity, you name it. I mean, it's some serious stuff
Chicago,
going on.
I believe that these buildings, and we'll get on this on another subject. Me and you'll do a show on these. And I'm doing research now on these buildings that we cannot duplicate now.
No.
And it was Daniel Boone. Listen to this now. Daniel Boone run up on an Indian tribe that said that they was inhabiting these buildings, but they did not build them. So that means it was here before the Indians. All right. Another thing that I've been doing research on, and we'll do another show on, is the Osage Indians. The Osage Indians spoke Hebrew. And they dedicated the Ozarks, where I moved to, they dedicated that land to God before America was America. Now think about this. Indians are the only ones that still use the word tribe. All right. Now, in the Ozarks, you'll find these mounds and all these things, where of this civilization that was taking place back then. And they had jewelry that had crosses on it. Think about that. So the Indians, the Native Americans, or let's just call them native because America wasn't here, worshiped a god named Yahya. Pretty crazy. And then think about this. If you put this in a Bible story, then they got to worshiping idols. The idols was totem poles. They called them firebirds. All right. At the same time period, the Puritans, not the Pilgrims, the Puritans came over here. And in Virginia, West Virginia, they dedicated the land to God again. All right. It's at the naval base in West Virginia. There's a cross there, and that's where the United States was dedicated to God again. The Puritans and the Indians got along. It was when the government came in and started beating the Indians out of their own language. I've got all the proof of everything I'm talking about, so this will be another subject. But there's a lot of this history, folks, that's been hidden from us, including this whole spinning basketball deal. But I know you got to go.
Oh, shoot. I think Tim dropped out for a second there, guys. All right. Hopefully he'll be back in the stream in just a second. But while I'm waiting for him, hopefully to get connected back up there. Yeah, I see him trying to pop back in. Hold on, let me add him back in here. Hey, brother, you there?
I thought I had that thing where it wouldn't ring, but it did.
Oh, I got you. Yeah, you know,
I can't hear you at all.
You can't hear me at all?
I can't hear you.
Oh, man. Can you hear it now? Can you hear me now?
You got me?
Yeah, I got you. Yeah. Can you hear me?
I got my ears on. You got your ears on?
Yeah, yeah. Can you hear me?
I can't hear you at all.
Damn. Okay. Okay. Oh, shoot, guys. All right. Devil is working on the audio.
We'll just go ahead and end it if you want to.
Okay. All right. Hey,
we've been on here an hour and 1 minute.
Hang on in there in the back, okay?
All right.
All right. Guys, we'll do another stream. I hate that the audio is the way it is today. I do not know what's going on. Maybe it's something to do with StreamYard too. I'll tell you this. We'll definitely do another stream together. I'll get with Tim. We'll do some more stream stuff together. But I want to tell you, if you have not checked out the link in the video description below, there's like 4 links from multiple different channels down there that you can go watch the stream of the debate. I want you to understand that I'm not throwing, like I've said from the get, I don't really care about throwing shade on anybody. I've never just blasted people on here just to blast them. That's not how I operate. But what is very important to take away from this is that what you've seen take place and what I said last week about things taking place that would take place this week have taken place. And people are already coming to the truth of flat earth. Many people, I've seen this one person's comment that they'd been a member of that church for like 2 years. And now they're leaving because that, you know, they're out because they see the truth on the matter. And it's going to be the situation moving forward on a lot of topics. And this is only the beginning. So I want you to take this. I want you to look at this as a template for many, many more things to come, because there's going to be debates and conflict and strife on a lot of levels, fighting against people coming to the truth. It's just how it's going to be. So, guys, I'm going to bump out of here. Thanks for everybody being in the stream this week. Definitely try to be up in here next week. I'm going to talk about the United States corporate America at some point. That's a conversation I really want to have, the sooner than the latter. But I thought this was a very timely, important conversation, especially, with the background of what went on this week, and have Tim break that down for you. So, guys, as always, till we see you again here, 7 Times Prepper channel. Hope Most High Yah Baruch you and keep you, make his face shine upon you, show you favor, and give you shalom, my friends. Love y'all and have a wonderful Sabbath out there.